Hey guys, I hope you had a great weekend. Want to go over today's activities. This is day 3, even though it's a Monday. So I'm going to go over each subject like I've been going. For reading, you are going to continue with this passage that you started Friday. It's the one that has 3 articles. On Friday, you only had to answer this first part. It was just like an extended response question. And then today you're going to be answering the multiple choice. So it starts with number 2, and then it goes on to the back, just like that. Number 7 is 2 parts, so this whole thing goes together. So you're going to be answering this question, and then these 2 parts go with it because you're choosing details from the text. So I suggest you go back to the text right here. Remember, all this paper is yours if you have a printed copy of the packet, and so you can mark up the text, you can underline, highlight, whatever works for you. So that's it for reading for today. After you finish that, or before if you'd like, you need to be doing 30 minutes of independent reading. You can read on Tumble Books or Epic or your actual book if you have that. And I've been sending out resources of Miss Davis reading and some other ones I'm going to send out today too. So just try and get in reading every day. All right, for writing, the big one. We are still working on the same TDA. So you are answering this prompt down here, and you have read this passage at least 2 or 3 times by now. You marked up the text, and we went over this on Friday, how to underline and annotate. So you've made your own notes. They might be really similar to mine, and they might be different, and that's okay. And then on Friday, you also completed the graphic organizer. So we talked about how our claim comes right from the prompt. You don't have to even come up with anything different. You use the prompt to come up with your claim, and you fill these out. All your evidence goes at the top. That means you're quoting the text. And then at the bottom, you explain your quote, why it's important, why it matters. You need to use these sentence starters on the side. You can come up with your own, but if you're really not sure, just use these. These are all great. Remember, we said the more that you do on here, the easier your writing is going to be. So today, day 3, which is today, and day 4 are kind of combined. So today you might do like half of this and do the other half tomorrow. But day 3 and 4, it says write, edit, and revise, and then it says color code. So when we color code, remember we took notes on this in our writing notebook. We use the RACE strategy, which is restate, answer, cite, and explain. And so when you restate the prompt, which is like your claim, you're going to underline it, or you might shade it, or if you have a highlighter, that's fine too, in orange. When you answer the prompt, like you say why you can answer your claim with whatever you use from the text, you're going to underline that in green. When you cite from the text, so you say, according to the text, blah, 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 or the author said, blah, blah, blah. Wherever your quotes are, or if you put it in your own words, that's fine. You're going to underline that in blue. And then the E, explain, you're going to underline in purple. So when you explain why your quote, whatever you cited, is important or why it matters, you're going to underline that in purple. If you don't have these colors and need to come up with your own code, that's fine with me too. So like if you don't have orange but you have yellow, just cross out orange and write yellow. That's totally fine. You guys know that doesn't matter to me. Just underline it so you know that you've done everything. If you go through your entire paper and nothing is underlined in green, like, oh, I got to go back and make sure I've answered the question, which is the prompt. So make sure you've done that. I went ahead and wrote the TDA using my graphic organizer. So I took all this information and I put it into my work that I did. So this is my first paragraph. Make sure. Yeah, this is my first paragraph. It's my introduction. I always start by indenting at each paragraph. That's how I know that this is a paragraph and then this is going to be a different paragraph. My claim is underlined in orange because that is where I restated the prompt. Your claim comes right from your prompt. And then I went on and I answered the question. So my claim is, the locations in the story, the mysterious photograph, make people think about events in the past. I got that from the prompt. Then I continued, this is just my introduction. I said, the main character, Anna, is on a mission to find out who a woman in a photograph is after Anna finds the picture in her new house. See, that's not restating and that's not answering. I was just giving a little bit of information. So I didn't underline that because I was not really part of the prompt and it wasn't part of the answer. Now my next sentence says, the locations of the old school, school library, and the house make people think about events in the past. That's me answering the question. So I underlined that in green. Then I go on to my next body paragraph, well, my first body paragraph, and that's going to come into play with my planning sheet. This right here is most of my first body paragraph. Of course, I added some more. So my transition that I used, I just said the first location, the old school, makes Mr. Reynolds think about events in the past. I'm sorry, Miss Reynolds. Anna shows her teacher, Miss Reynolds, the old mysterious photograph. According to the text, Miss Reynolds says, "That's the old elementary school building that used to stand right here." That's a quote from the text, so I underlined it in blue. This is important because, so I'm explaining now, so I'm going to underline it in purple. This is important because seeing the picture from Anna made Miss Reynolds remember the old school building. Then the reader was able to learn that she spent her first year teaching there. So that's all me explaining. My last sentence is repeating my answer to the prompt again. I said, the location of the old school building triggered Miss Reynolds' memory. So that was it for my whole first paragraph. I will share more of this with you tomorrow because I don't want to give you my entire TBA. But today, if you would like, since days 3 and 4 are combined, you might want to split it up. So if you would like to just write today, tomorrow you might want to do the underlining. If you want to write today and revise tomorrow, so if you go through and you're like, oh, I didn't do a good job of citing the text, tomorrow you can add that on. Because this is still our first draft, if you realize, like, right in the middle of this paragraph, I forgot something, you can just put a sticky note on here, or you can write on the side a note to yourself, because our first draft is messy. We're still working on it, so that's totally fine. But that's all you're doing today for writing. You're writing your first draft, and you might start color coding, but today and tomorrow you can do both of those. All right, moving on to math. You are still working on this sheet. It's back and front with 2 on this side. Please make sure you're using the notes if you need them. And if you have extra time or you knocked this out last week and you're like, I don't know what to do now, you can go on iExcel, you can go on Prodigy, you can go on mathisfun.com. You can email me if you need something extra. Just make sure you're doing some math. If you just want to practice math facts, you can use a deck of cards. You can play war with a sibling or a parent. That's when you take your deck of cards, you both put one down at the same time, and whoever multiplies them the fastest gets to keep both cards. So you can do that if you'd like. And finally, in social studies, Friday, you did day 2. So you took your notes. This whole front page is finished now because you did day 1 and 2. And this top part is finished because that was part of day 2 as well. So today you are going to do kind of more than you did before. Day 3 is the rest of this page and just 2 bullets on this page. So you are going to continue reading your slides about the Great Depression. So we learned how the Great Depression started. We learned how it was affecting everybody on day 2. We learned that people were starting to lose their homes and they had to start actually building their homes, called Hoovervilles. And then today you're going to move into day 3. So day 3 goes over, there's some more, you can't really tell. These are pictures of the Dust Bowl, and I'll show you some really good ones of those when we get back to school. So you learn about hobos. Those were young men that were unemployed, and some young women, and they were just moving all around trying to find work. So they didn't really have one place to stay. There's a little quiz where you can just ask yourself questions, but you don't have to write those down. And then we start learning about Franklin D. Roosevelt, also known as FDR. He became president after Herbert Hoover. He became president because he had this great plan called the New Deal, and he wanted to fix the Great Depression. He wanted it to end. So his New Deal came with 3 points, and they was called the 3 R's. It was under relief, reform, and recovery. So he wanted to change America and make it better again. He wanted to fix all the problems that were going on with our economy, people not having money or jobs, and the businesses that had to close. So on this backside, it really breaks it down. He had relief programs, so programs that he started that got people jobs and that helped America. Some of these programs include the FDIC, which we still have today, and Social Security. The FDIC really helped with people getting their trust back in banks, because remember, banks lost everybody's money, and so nobody trusted banks anymore. So that helped people use banks again, and banks were able to open again. Social Security is still around today too. What else? The CCC was developed. That's the Civilian Conservation Corps. That also gave people jobs. And that is going to lead into your last page of notes. So it's important to know that some of these programs are still around today, like a century later. And that's it for day 3 of the packet. If you have any questions, please email me. I'm going to be sending out a daily schedule that you can use. It's totally optional. Sometimes we like to have a schedule. You might already have your own schedule, and that's fine too. I've sent your parents the link to the Related Arts folder, so you can still be doing things that you would do in Related Arts, like going outside and exercising, or staying inside and doing some exercises, different music you can listen to that Miss Beck has sent out. You can be doing typing, becoming a better typer, all kinds of different things. So I'll send that to you guys too. But please let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.